Hello and welcome to The Drug Trip. This channel is here to feed the curiosity of those who would like to gain an insight to the effects of various drugs and substances through user experiences and stories, with our main goal being to entertain and reduce harm and abuse. We post regular trip reports every few days, so if you do enjoy these, we would really appreciate it if you subscribed. And more importantly, we love to hear our viewers' thoughts, opinions and experiences, so please leave something for us in the comment section and we may use it in a future video. Enjoy and be safe. A friend of mine, who turned me on to all my psychedelic experiences, had been researching Datura and had just recently found some plants growing on the Canadian River in central Oklahoma. I'm not quite sure what this strain was, but what he had were thick oval pods with soft spikes all around. They opened up to reveal small seeds. He invited me to experiment with him and was very explicit in telling me that it was a dangerous beast and not a lot was known about it. Intriguing, I couldn't resist. The first few times we tried it, we took a very small dosage, maybe 5 seeds each, and felt no effects. A week later, we tried again with a larger dose, around 15 seeds. This resulted in blurry vision, a small amount of dizziness, and both of us falling asleep 2 or 3 hours after ingestion, but otherwise no other noticeable effects. It was kind of scary, and we decided to write this one off. Looking back, I don't know why we would want to try that again, but a month or so later, we ran across another plant in the same area and grabbed a pod each. We went home and ate all the seeds. We were careful to meticulously chew the seeds up this time, and it seemed to help. A few hours after ingestion, we both passed out. We didn't fall asleep, we literally passed out. It was involuntary. He woke up before me and shook me until I was awake. I could not walk. My legs felt strong, but I couldn't keep my balance. It was as if the weight of my body kept it shifting from one side to the other, and I felt very top-heavy. My eyes were also extremely light-sensitive. The sun coming through the blinds in his house looked like solid laser beams. When I closed my eyes, I thought I remembered seeing little men, like little silver surfer, but smaller, riding on these laser beams of light coming in through the window, but when I opened my eyes, the vision was gone. My friend later told me that he could not focus on anything, but he had no hallucinations. At this point in the trip, I felt a strong urge to be home, so I took off walking. How I managed to get across town on foot in my balance-deprived and semi-delirious state will always be a mystery, but I did make it. By this point, I was hallucinating very heavily, still not able to walk well, but it was not alarming. I was not consciously thinking, "It's okay, I'm tripping." Rather, it just seemed natural that the world should appear to me in this form. My roommate came home and he had been in our early experiments with Datura, so I told him what was happening. He sat with me for a while and then went to bed. He later said that while he was awake and with me, I was sitting on the couch staring straight ahead. My eyes would open and close for long periods of time, and I would sometimes mutter intelligible things under my breath. This is when I started to truly slip into the delusional state. I recall seeing and talking to friends from high school whom I had not seen in years. I even recall being able to bring more people into the conversation at will. I brought my friend, whom I had started this trip with, over as well, so he could see this. I was having sort of a party with old acquaintances. The conversations were very trivial. How have you been? Do you remember when we did this or that? And are you still with what's her name? That type of stuff. I remember having direct conversations with people while hearing other people in the background having totally unrelated conversations. Such was the clarity of the hallucination. Sometimes the person I was talking to would just disappear in front of my eyes, but this seemed natural, as in, oh, they left. It was totally different from an acid hallucination where I have to actually remind myself that I am tripping. The sudden spark of fear was never present. My roommate was awakened a few times by my talking, and he heard me open the front door numerous times and say, "Hello, see you later," to people. He said that once he came back to check on me. That's quite funny. I'm sorry. Honestly, guys, these Datura stories crack me up. It's so funny. Anyway, he said that once he came to check on me and I was talking so fast he couldn't understand me, and I was drinking a beer. He asked me who I was talking to, and I told him that he could see them if he just looked. He said he didn't see anyone, and I told him to close his eyes and try and see them. He went back to bed. I don't remember anything else, except from constantly thinking I was smoking non-existent cigarettes. I would think I had one in my hands, even taking drags off. And then my two fingers would touch together and I'd think I had dropped it. I probably spent 3 hours of this trip crawling around on the floor looking for dropped cigarettes. I found out years later that this is a very common appearance in Datura trips. I'm so sorry. Oh, I love this. I was drinking a lot of water. I'm trying so hard not to laugh, ladies and gentlemen, but if you have such an eclectic mind as myself, you would see the comedy in this whole story. But anyway, I was drinking a lot of water during the trip due to an extremely dry mouth and throat. Still, urination was infrequent and very difficult. I later slipped into more of a stupor. The strong hallucinations subsided, and I wanted to do something but was lacking the motor skills and mental acuity to accomplish much. Music didn't seem to be very... Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just breeze through this story, but as you can probably tell, it was just crazy. So anyway, I tried to play with a fractal program on my roommate's PC, but had trouble remembering how to use the mouse properly. I tried reading a book, but my eyesight was far too gone to focus on the letters, and my mind was far too gone to comprehend their meaning, even if I could. 12 hours and one long bath later, I started to come back to earth. To the best of my ability, I figured the active trip lasted around 24 to 30 hours. And then the next day, I felt very tired, distant and depressed all day. My vision was very blurry for a week, and not sharp as normal for more than 1 month after the trip. The mild depression stayed with me for a few months, and eventually led me to taking a cycle of Zoloft. The long-lasting after effects had me very worried. For a long time, at least a year after this trip, I would occasionally see something rushing towards me out of the corner of my eye, only to be startled and realise nothing was there. I also had, for many years after, a slight speech impediment. This still happens today from time to time, and I took Datura over 8 years ago. Maybe it's related, maybe not, but it never happened to me prior to this Datura trip. And in summation, it wasn't what I would call a good trip, but not exceedingly bad either. It was the only drug I've ever taken that provided true audible, visual, tactile hallucinations, and that was quite an experience to behold. But it was also a spiritually empty trip. Other than remembering the hallucinations, I didn't bring anything back with me, nor did I have any mental acuity to do much soul searching. I've been taken down to zero before an acid, but still achieved a pretty positive experience in analysing and rebuilding my psyche. This was different. It was more like I was distracted by amusing hallucinations while some demons attacked my psyche. The work afterwards was more of a repair than a rebuild, so I wouldn't recommend this drug to anybody. And in short, be careful.